Okay, well,
Thank you, Bill. Okay, we're ready to begin. October 4th meeting on Police and Public Safety. We'll begin with the approval of the minutes for the July 7th, 2020 meeting, which was attached. Can we get a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A second. I will second that. Anybody have any changes to those minutes? Seeing none, those minutes are approved. All right, Fran, you can take over if you'd like. Got to unmute your mic, Fran.
Mother keeps me.
There we go.
Okay, the chief and town attorney Briggs were working on release of certain disciplinary records due to the repeal of Civil Service Law 50A. Paul Briggs reports the PBA has filed a demand to bargain regarding the town's process for release of certain information. A ceremonial resolution for September town board meeting, retired Deputy Chief John R. Waterfield, who recently
We want to make
passed.
sure we get that set up for our next board meeting. Just a point of note here that Chief McManus has been put on administrative leave pending an investigation, and we have Chief Wall, temporary Chief Wall, is now our Chief of Police.
Okay, 4 radar speed signs have been purchased. I spoke with Ray and they have not yet arrived. I think Alexis Kim is following up on that. She's been keeping track of that. And NCAP signs have, as far as I know, they've been attached. They're just waiting for us to let them know when to put them out. Is that correct, Ms. Kim?
I think that the signs have not yet been ordered. They're just looking for the go-ahead from the town that the final verbiage and imagery is correct. And Ms. Salsonau is on the call. Would you like to answer any questions about the anticipated timeline of when we would arrive?
Yeah, since the last meeting, I added the correct phone number to report any suspicious activity. I included the ordinance number and the town logo. So this is just an opportunity for one final look at that to make sure that everything that we say in the sign is accurate. The sign has not gone, the design has not gone to the sign maker quite yet, so there may be a few graphic changes, but otherwise we're set to go. We're able to order 25 signs, so that's a nice number that could be put in a number of places based on what police experience and even the Parks and Rec see as locations where there's activity like that. And I certainly want to thank the town board for passing the ordinance about vaping, so we were able to include that on the sign also. So we can move forward with everybody's approval of the sign language.
That looks great, Gene. Thank you for all your work, and thanks to NCAP for everything they've done for this. And so I think I'm fine with the sign, the committee here. If anybody else has any changes, the sign was attached, and then it'll probably go over the highway. They'll take a look at it, and we can move forward with that.
Yes, and the turnaround should be pretty quick once everything is finalized.
Great, and then we'll work with highway and the police as far as location-wise, and we'll get them up.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for all your work on that. Denise, thank you for working with the smoking folks on the vaping.
So this is just completely nitpicky and being a lawyer. So it says per Niskayuna Town Ordinance. We can just shorten it and call Niskayuna Town Code. So switch the word ordinance to code, and then I think it's near perfect. So
yes, I will do that. Okay. That's exactly why we're doing a round. So thank you very much. I will do that.
And then Councilman McFarland, I know that this has been a year in the making for NCAP's efforts of coming to the committee meetings. Do you think that we're comfortable saying go ahead and proceed with the order once we switch the word ordinance to code?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Halson.
you. Fran, I don't know if you're trying to speak yet. Your mic is still muted.
That it keeps turning off. For the building lock system, the July meeting was their board approval for the building lock system.
Right, and we recommended the TBS system. I think I read the minutes from the July meeting. That was our recommendation. So we're passing that along to you, Rosemary, and Highway. That was the public safety's recommendation on a provider for that.
Thanks, Bill.
System.
Yeah.
Okay, we currently have ample supply of PPE, sanitizers, wipes, 95 masks, so we're set for that right now. We're waiting for wall-mounted thermometer, and at that time we will start doing fingerprints for citizens, which are usually for like employment. And we'll start doing car seats again once the thermometer is installed on the wall. I'll cancel the prior order that was put out when COVID started for us. As soon as we have that, and Miss Kim, I think you're going to take care of that or set that up with Charlie Bergami.
Yes, they've already arrived. So it's my understanding is that would you like one in the vestibule?
I couldn't understand that. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I think this put yourself on mute while I'm speaking, so it's not backwards.
She's breaking up.
Wait, you're breaking up. I couldn't understand that.
I said put me on mute while I'm speaking so that you don't have strange feedback on your audio. Okay, can you hear me better now? You can nod. Okay, perfect. So the wall-mounted thermometers have arrived, and so it was just a matter of the location that's preferred. We need one within the police department that will be used by employees, and then I thought maybe perhaps one in the vestibule area where members of the public come in and where they make the call to be, for an officer to come down to let them in. So is that your understanding? Because we do have several of them such that we could put two dedicated to the police department.
Okay, that would work. That would work perfectly.
Okay, so that can be done today, as long as Charlie Bergami has some availability to hang them up.
Okay, that'd be perfect. Okay. Next, we're going to go on to some vehicle and traffic complaints. I'm going to let Deputy Chief Mike Stevens speak to some because he puts out the traffic counter. Step in. I'm going to let Deputy Chief Mike Stevens step in on this.
Morning, everybody. First of all, I apologize. I'm on vacation, so I have a beard and this fancy shirt on. But
So do you want to go to Government Drive first?
yeah,
Okay. Government. There's one accident in the past 5 years on the Government Drive.
okay. One of the citizen complaints that I'm aware of that I've been doing some work on is McGovern Drive. There was a request. I'm sorry, I don't have the full email in front of me. I don't know the subject's name, for a stop sign at Stanley. As in years past, the way we deal with these requests is that we first start with a traffic study. We have the police department has 2 units. They're sold by Decatur Radar. I believe their name's a Speed Spy, something like that. It looks like a lunchbox that we can deploy on telephone poles, trees, and that allows us to monitor traffic in a specific area. When this one came in, I believe it was July 20th. I'd have to, oh, here's the report right here. July 20th, I was asked by Chief McManus to deploy the traffic survey for that area. I have those results also. Councilman, probably if you don't mind, I'd like to report those now for McGovern at Stanley.
Sure, that's fine, Mike. Thank you.
Yep. So we started at noon on July 20th, and we do a 24-hour study. We had the two units we have. One is a directional unit. Bill, I know you're familiar with this, and the other is a dual directional, so we get traffic either direction on the road. We were able to deploy the dual, and for 24 hours, and the results were the posted speed limit was 30 miles an hour on that road. The average speed of the 375 vehicles that passed was 27 miles an hour, so 3 miles below the speed limit. So 375 cars in 24 hours, that's a pretty significant number. I think there could be a traffic volume issue on that road. The data is not really showing that there's a speed issue on the road. The next thing we look into is crash data. And TC Wall is advising me that she ran that for us this morning, and there's been one accident in that location in the last 5 years. I believe this is the report in front of me. Give me 1 second to review this real quick. Okay. Yeah, this accident was on McGovern in the area of Stanley. It appears that it was an unsafe rate of speed, I believe. I remember this accident a little bit. There was construction being done on the road, and there was some debris on the road, possibly gravel of some such, that the vehicle may have lost control on. So that is the only accident we have in that area, and that accident was June 20th of 16. And we ran from January of 15?
Of 15.
January of 15 through today.
This was actually August of 15. And I ran 5 years.
Okay. TC Wall is advising me that she actually ran 5 years to the day. So, so McGovern at this point, I'm sorry, one more thing that I wanted to add. With the new traffic enforcement unit that we've been able to deploy here at the PD, the additional thing that we have done is this allows us to put these two officers into an area for deliberate traffic enforcement in that area. On July 21st, I deployed those two officers. One works 7 to 3 and one works 3 to 11. And based on the data off of the report from the traffic survey, have advised them they need to spend an hour a day, hour of each of their shift for the last week and a half, I believe it was, on McGovern, attempting to deal with traffic infractions. I've been on vacation pretty much since, so I don't have that data in front of me, what they've done in terms of any issuance of tickets. So I can't report that to you right now, but I know they have been there. That's the benefit of this unit, is it allows us to now take these officers and put them right there to deal with that issue. So that is the McGovern one. I don't know if anybody has any questions on McGovern.
Yeah, Deputy Chief, I just have a quick question. So you did the 24-hour study on July 20th, and then subsequently you deployed the special traffic unit?
Yeah, actually, the email that I sent to the traffic unit was based on the data from that survey, and it showed that we have essentially 2 spikes in traffic volume, not necessarily speed violations, but traffic volume. And Officer Relation, who works 7 to 3, has been assigned there between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. because that's where we see a spike in traffic per that study. And then Chris Henry from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. we see another spike at that time.
So is the spike in traffic volume related to an increase? Like, are you looking at, sorry, if you don't mind just putting me on mute for not feedback.
Sure.
So as I understand it, over 24 hours, the average rate of speed is 27 miles per hour, so 3 below the speed limit. But you said that there is an issue that you identified an issue that could justify having the traffic, special traffic cars there. So are you seeing an increase in speed during the high peak traffic times, or are you, in terms of where the committee should go from here, are you saying that there's perhaps an issue with traffic, but that traffic does not necessarily mean that there's a problem with speeding?
I think the best way I can answer that, Alexis, is Chief McManus and I for 6 years have been doing these, and we often see on the town highways that there's a higher flow of traffic than I think is what's really expected, what people are expecting to occur. 375 cars in a 24-hour period seems like a pretty high number. Why that is, I don't know. I don't know if people are avoiding Balltown Road. I know this committee's talked about that many times over. Anybody that drives down Balltown Road realizes that that road now pretty much doesn't work. It's often backed up a long way. With the addition of GPS systems on phones and cars, Waze, I don't know if everybody's ever used this one, it will reroute based on traffic volume. I don't know if it's rerouting people that way. I have no idea. I can't tell you that one way or the other, but we do know that a lot of these studies, the numbers come back. The most interesting number is typically the number of vehicles on the road in the time period that we have the signs deployed, or in this case, we refer to it as a lunchbox, the traffic survey. So that's why that happens. I can't answer that question. I don't know. It's all speculation.
Okay, just so in terms of, and I'm sorry I'm taking up the floor. I'm just trying to make sure I understand so we can respond to the residents who are concerned about the speeding issue. At this time, what I'm gathering is that you looked at it from two angles: one human, police officers being there, and then one on the 24-hour study, and that there's not a speeding issue at this time, at least looking 24 hours, July 20th through present. And there is not historically 5 years back an issue with accidents at this particular area.
Correct.
I think that's a valid statement. And I forgot to answer one part of your question, which was, did we see where I sent the officers there for those 1 hours during their shifts? I don't see an increase in speed during those hours. I see an increase in traffic volume. So we're kind of playing the odds that if there's more vehicles on the road, you probably have a higher possibility of actually finding someone who may be violating the speed limit. It just comes down to using data to try to put our officers in places to deploy them the most effective. The other thing that we notice sometimes, and this is an interesting road, and TC Wall can explain this, she can verify this for me, as when you go to radar school to become certified in radar, you have to be certified to visually estimate speed of vehicles. I bring that up because they tell you in day one of that school, any sort of undulation in the road, curves, anything like that, will make a vehicle look like it's going faster or slower to what it may actually be. Anybody that knows this area of McGovern and Stanley, that is a punch bowl, if you will. There's two hills. I don't know if cars look like they're going faster to the residents there because of the two hills. I don't know. I can't say that. But that could be a possibility based on the fact of what our training is.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. I think we have a few residents in the meeting now. It appears that a couple have come into the meeting. I'd like to give them an opportunity to speak if they'd like to. One's Jared and the other is John. If it appears that they may be neighbors from that area that have been asked to join the meeting. So, and then I just see a Marilyn Brown has come on. So we'll give them an opportunity if they'd like to speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hi, this is John Savari. Can you hear me?
Yes, John, we can hear you fine.
How you doing? I got on late, so I didn't have an opportunity to hear what the former speaker had to say. We've lived here.
Yep. They had put out on July 20th their traffic analyzer, and their average speed that they got on McGovern was 27 miles an hour, and they have traffic counts of about 375 cars. So that's a lot of cars on McGovern.
And that was on July 20th.
That's correct.
And what times was that?
It was for a 24-hour period.
Okay. I'm not familiar, with that study, but so I've lived here since 2011. We addressed the board, like I said, in 2016, I believe. the intersection of Wemple and Stanley. I don't know if the officers looked in that area, but it's a treacherous situation, to put it mildly. I'd be very curious to see, the analysis from that intersection on a daily basis. We personally observe, we witness vehicles coming down the road at extraordinarily high speeds. I can't speak to July 20th, but we've lived here for the past 9 years and we've personally witnessed it many times. So it's kind of discouraging. We've been talking about this for a very long time. And it sounds like you're basing a determination on one day.
Well, we may have the opportunity to put the traffic analyzer out there again. What we're also doing is enforcement. You missed sort of what the deputy chief had said, that we have a traffic division now, and we've got, he's instructed them to at least spend 1 hour in each of their shifts out there in that area. So these are sort of the tools that we have that we're using to try to curtail speed, not just in your neighborhood, but in many of the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I think some of the issue is the blind intersection at Wemple and Stanley. Members of the neighborhood, I know that they feel like their lives are on the line every time that they just step out of their house. But I think there's another couple neighbors that are on. I apologize for missing the beginning of this meeting. Got the kids here with COVID going on, so it's difficult. But looking out my window now and seeing the cars whiz by, so appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, John. If you guys wouldn't mind me adding on to what had John spoke on, and the first thing that I found that was quite interesting is I wrote an email about a week ago without any type of discussion to John, and then found out about 3 days after the email. I don't have Facebook, but I know that there was a Facebook post from John that he has recently gone to the board about the speeding. So both of our emails or information to you guys actually came separate and not together. But one of the things that I was thinking about is that if we do a 24-hour study, thinking about the mean being 27, that means that there has to be, especially out of 375 cars, you would have to assume that half of them are going higher than 27 miles per hour. Now, in that study, do you have the direct numbers, or does it only measure and give an output of the average? Because I'm wondering, I know that me, my wife, the neighborhood, which probably has a good 40, 50 cars itself, if we're traveling within that 24 hours 4 or 5 times, you're talking about us who are most likely going 20 miles per hour like you should in a neighborhood. So therefore, if you're averaging 20 with 40, 45, 50, that's why it may come out as 27. So I was curious if the output of the machine that's measuring it does calculate like the individual miles per hour. And then my second question would be about where the measurement is taken, because I know the police officer sits at the top of the hill of McGovern, which is very easy to see that he's there. And you can see the cars immediately brake when they do see that he is there. I have a 4 and a 5-year-old who are just learning to ride a bike. I know John has a 6-year-old who's just learned to ride a bike. And, I do park my car in front of my driveway to block it to try and prevent them. But we all know 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds are going to, sometimes take risks and not listen to every rule yet. So I'm just worried that those 15, 20 cars that are probably going 50 miles per hour, they're, a safer way of preventing an accident that no one wants to happen. Thank
Hey,
you.
Deputy Chief, do you have the 75th percentile of the average speed? And I think just to clarify, it was a box that was there, not an officer for 24 hours. And it was stationed at Stanley and McGovern. The 24-hour study, the lunchbox, as you call it, it wasn't it was a discrete device such that somebody wouldn't slow down because they thought it was a police officer. But can you speak to whether we have the stratified data that such that we could give like the 75th, the 85th, and the 95th percentile?
This system, if you will, puts out the 50th, the 85th, and then the highest speed recorded. So the highest speed recorded in that 24-hour period was 44 miles an hour. Doesn't say that there's 10 cars doing 44. It says that was the highest speed that was recorded. So it recorded at least one 44 mile an hour. The 85th percentile was 35 miles an hour, and the 50th percentile was 29 miles an hour. I would caution that in the past, and I still can't even properly explain it myself, that a lot of times people hear the 85th percentile is 35, and they think that 85% of the vehicles are doing 35 miles an hour. That's not what the 85th percentile. It's an algorithm that is somehow comes out of, I can't even try to explain it. I apologize because it's so confusing to me.
Comfortable going at that speed.
Yeah, the most simplistic way I've heard it is that's what the speed that they figure vehicles are able to do safely. They feel they're able to do safely on that. I don't know if the deputy supervisor is on this call or not, but I believe he may be able to explain that from his time as the deputy chief. I don't know. Stan, are you on here?
Yeah, Mike, I'm here.
Can you shed some light on the 85th percentile? It still confuses me.
You did the best. You did the best you could to explain it. It's math was never my forte. I can tell you though that of the numbers that are produced by the surveys, the average speed only averages the total number of cars traveling. So if there's more cars going slower and a few cars going faster, the average is still going to come out the same. One of the things that we've seen over the years and things that we've been taught in, like you said, in radar training, people tend to have a problem with estimating speeds, things that confuse them, traffic volume, noise, and the size of the vehicles. More cars look faster, bigger vehicles look faster, louder vehicles look faster. So, basically the point of the traffic counter is to give a scientific example of what the traffic is at that time on that day. Hope that helped you, Mike.
The residents were asking where exactly the unit was placed. It was placed right near Stanley, correct, Deputy Chief?
Yeah, there is a light pole. Hang on one second. I'll give you the exact location. I'm just checking Google Maps to give directions and such. There's a light pole if you're traveling on McGovern towards that Row Road is the other end, Van Antwerp to Row, which would make it east, right? I believe. So if you're traveling east on the right side of the road, which would be the south side of the road, there's a pole, a utility pole between Stanley and Wemple. That's exactly where it was deployed. We try to use light poles if we can, so we don't infringe upon anybody's property or anything like that. I'm not sure if there's any other questions I can answer. By all means, I'd love to try to help. So
it was between Stanley. It was between Stanley and Wemple. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir. That is what I said.
Okay. Interesting.
Why interesting, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm looking out my window and I'm trying to find exactly where you were referencing. So it's just interesting that it's not McGovern and Stanley. So I'm going to take a walk and try to figure out exactly where you were. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Just give me 1 second. I've actually got Google Maps up on my phone. Let me make sure I'm giving the exact location. I'm confident I am. I just want to be sure.
Also, in regards, I think that you had stated the 35 mile per hour was considered the 85th percentile, correct?
38 miles per hour, I believe.
No, he's correct. Alexa, it was 35.
Oh, it was only 35. Okay.
35, yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I saw in the chat it said 38, but I thought that someone had mentioned 35 at the 85th percentile, which to my knowledge would be the 85th percentile is what 85% or fewer cars are driving. So that speed at 35 miles per hour is what 85% of the cars are driving, which is used to base speed limits on, the standard safe limits, which is why if you drive a couple miles per hour over speed limit, you usually don't receive a ticket because it's within the 85 percentile.
No, I think, sorry, not to cut you off. I think that, sorry if this was confusing. That means that only 15% of the test data, so I think it's about 56 cars would be driving 35 miles per hour or faster. It means that 85% of the cars, 84% of the cars were driving below that amount, and that 50% of those cars were driving at 27 miles per hour or slower. That's what it means.
All right. My understanding is a different definition of what the 85th percentile speed actually means. Because what I believe that it means is it's not a actual percentage. It's a percent of how many people are driving at a specific speed so that you can more easily correlate the speed because the mean. Because if you have 3 cars that are going 44 miles per hour, that throws off your mean. If you have 2 cars that are going 10 miles per hour, that throws off your mean, which is why they take the 85th percentile.
So yeah, so it's, yeah, I mean, it's because we have the mean, median, and I mean, I don't want to bore people on statistical stratification of data results, but I am certain looking at this data that this is the 85th percentile, and meaning that if the mean is, regardless if it's the mean or median, if the average is 27 miles per hour, it can't be that 85% of cars are driving at 35 miles per hour. That would not make sense on how to reconcile the two. And especially if the fastest car recorded that day was 45 miles per hour. So, I mean, Deputy Chief, I know everyone's strong point is not statistical analysis, but I mean, would you agree that it's 15% of cars are driving at 35 miles per hour or faster, not that 85% of cars are driving at that speed?
To be honest with you, I don't even feel comfortable. This day is such a confusing statistic to me, and I've been trying to figure it out for 6 years that I don't even want to have that debate. I don't. As Deputy Supervisor explained, it's extremely confusing in what it really is.
Well, I can put it like this is something probably everyone's had experience. When you go to, I know I'm going to take my daughter to her pediatrician, and they take her height. They say she's so tall, she's in the 95th percentile. That doesn't mean that 95% of people are her height. It's that she's in the top 5%.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Just to check in there, not for a long time. Where are you going? Oh, that's right. Are you going to do the?
Dan, will you put yourself on mute?
Wow.
Sorry, Mr. Fox. I don't know if you were continuing with your comment. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just was trying to clarify that statistical analysis and make sure that people weren't of the view that we were okay with people driving 5 miles per hour over the speed limit.
Yes. No, I still have, like you said, it's not the main point. It's not the biggest impact here. So it's more about the actions that, will take place, or if anything is going to take place. I just wanted to, my take on it is a little bit different. I just thought that 85th percentile speed is something different. So, you know, it's all good. I'm just listening in now.
So, Jared, you asked about the action. I don't know if you had heard that Deputy Chief has instructed the traffic division to spend an hour on each of their shifts over in that area for enforcement and to analyze, visually what they see as far as traffic and speed in the neighborhood. And we'll continue to do that and continue to monitor the neighborhood.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for coming and participating.
I was actually, while that side discussion was going on, I was able to actually run a report just so the committee's aware. The traffic unit has issued 4 summons over there, not all for speed, but 4 summons on McGovern since they've been deployed there. So just food for thought.
In your experience, Deputy Chief, is that a high number for the amount of time that they've spent there of tickets?
Not necessarily. I mean, it shows that they're over there trying, that they're over there giving a devoted effort to it. Is it high? We're talking June 20th was, I mean, they work Monday through Friday, so I believe quick count is 10 days, 10 days. 2 hours a day. We've only written 4. Doesn't seem that high to me.
Because I know that Councilman Partland just said we'll continue to monitor the area. Does that mean that we're going to continue to have the traffic car unit there for an indefinite amount of time, or maybe do another 24-hour study when school starts and there's presumably a higher volume traveling on McGovern going to and from Van Antwerp? That's the back way kind of you would drive.
At this point, absolutely, we can keep the traffic unit there. That is no problem whatsoever. Another study, I have no problem deploying that unit again. If they want to do it for a longer time period, we can. I leave that to Councilman McPartland for a little, and the board for a little direction on that. I have absolutely no problem putting that back up, and for as long as they'd like it up.
I think we should do it again, a different day. And there may have been construction on Van Antwerp during that time frame, which possibly had put some traffic on that. I know they repaved Van Antwerp. So
I remember the repaving. I don't remember the dates when that was. So that's possible. Sure.
So that may have increased the traffic there. So possibly either later this week or next week, we can put that back out and again, analyze the situation and continue to monitor it.
That can absolutely be done. No problem there.
Great. Thank you.
If we can move on to a couple of the other complaints, traffic complaints we've had, if that's fine with you, Councilman.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to, we have one Linwood and Sagemont that we did a traffic study on. I'm just trying to get caught up to speed on why that was. I'm just trying to read emails real quick. These came into Chief McManus, so I wasn't privy to them at the time.
It came up during our July meeting. There was a request for a sign, and that's what I think that's why Chief McManus had asked that you do a traffic study and look at the results so that we can assess whether or not there was a need for it.
Came in and
Alexis, I'm sorry, my mute wasn't on at the very beginning. Could you say that first part again?
This was brought, I don't know if it was in the form of a letter, I'm assuming, to our attention at the July 7th committee meeting. There was a request for a stop sign, a 3-way stop sign at Ferndale and Pinewood? Wherever the names of the streets are escaping me right now, but that's the reason why you were asked to get the traffic study data in response to a citizen complaint.
Okay, thank you. You actually just brought it back to my mind now. Yes, it was Fernwood, and I need a Fernwood one, not Linwood. Fernwood and Pine Haven. There was a request there for a 3-way stop sign to be erected at Fernwood and Pine Haven. Based on that email, and I believe Chief McManus spoke on this at the last police
All I
and
can
safety.
tell you- Yeah, because I think
Um,
all I can tell you is
yep.
there's one accident.
Okay.
There's a guy opened his car door.
We did a traffic survey there also, the lunchbox, if you will. And I had given it to Chief McManus, however, we can't find it quite yet. So I can recreate it for the end of the meeting if need be. Similar at this location was the crash data I can report on right now, that there was only one crash in a 5-year period on Fernwood, and that was near Bud Terrace, which is actually a little further down the road than where this is. And that accident was someone opened their door into traffic and got hit. So it was no way to speed or anything like that. If Councilman, if you'd like, I can go into my office and try to recreate that report quickly that we got from that one. I
Yeah,
don't.
if you like it, we can come back to that. We've got other things to work on also. So
Okay.
if you have the time, thank you.
If my memory serves me correct, the speeds on that one were also lower than expected. So, but I can definitely get that for everybody, no problem.
All right. I'm looking at it.
Stand by 1 second. TC Wall is getting stuff for me here.
So while they're doing that, some other things we have on here in the TC Wall, as Mike said, we'll come back on. We'll be discussing some community events and some expected protest activities. The farmers market, that's been going very well. We've been having quite a good turnout there. We have coffee with a cop there every other week, and that seems to be popular. So that also is working out for the department. Regarding town code, the board enacted a local law on July 26th to amend Chapter 55 regarding the police department's alarm monitoring. We have to change some of the verbiage of that, and then we're going to be putting that back up to the board at the next meeting.
Yeah, as I understand it, we didn't enact the local law. We just had, it was before the town board for enactment, but then we decided to table it due to some last minute changes that we had wanted to make. So it's not yet enacted. So, and I think
Public hearing on that.
exactly. So the public hearing was held, not much comments. I think the next step after it's enacted is that it's not going to take effect immediately. It's taking effect December 31st, 2020. So there will need to be public outreach to those who currently are registered, both commercial and residential, with the police monitoring, so that they have adequate time to find a other monitoring service. I'm not sure if that letter has been drafted yet, but should
I
be
think
out.
there was some work done on that, so that should be in process as far
Yeah.
as the wording and stuff like that. So we'll have to all look at that and make sure we're ready to go.
And so with respect to town code, the other item that is on the agenda is that we are going through pretty comprehensively all of the town code and looking at all of the chapters and look at how we can improve them and bring them up to date. It came to light that the chapter 37, which relates to police rules and regulations, is somewhat outdated. It probably has not been updated since the first iteration of the town code. So I am going through it and have suggested edits. So that would, since this is a code change, it triggers the public hearing process. So I'm not sure if it's too ambitious to say that that will be ready for August, but I definitely want to keep it on it as an agenda item so that it doesn't get lost in this, the mix of things. And that will be, a collaborative, showing the proposed edits to the town board, to the the police administration, and perhaps, getting some input from the police officers to make sure they haven't identified any specific rules that, a layman wouldn't be able to catch on. So something that requires editing.
Okay, thank you. We have the town clerk on. Michelle, do you have anything for us today?
Michelle already said earlier she's having trouble with her microphone. She texted that to us.
Okay, we'll go back to her. Her video works, but must be having audio troubles. I don't see any of the justices on here for the court or any of them on the meeting.
And while we're at that, can we, hey, Chief Wall, are you still on the call? I know that your video is off, but I want to make sure that Deputy Chief
She's on.
She's on. Okay, perfect.
There we go. Back. Chief Wall, so we sort of skipped around a little bit while you guys were off. Can we go back to community events, and can you brief the committee on recent or expected protest activities?
Okay, so we had a protest on July 26th, which went rather well. We got a lot of good feedback. It was a march that started on Dexter Street. It was probably 75 to 100 people. Went really smooth. They ended at the town hall here. We didn't have any issues. There's another one that I'm hearing about for August 7th. I've reached out to the young man that is organizing it numerous times. He is not answering me or avoiding me. I've also reached out to Schenectady PD and Schenectady County Sheriff. He has not contacted them as well. So we're going to be prepared for it. I'm not going to hire any overtime. The officers are all going to be aware. So if there are any issues, you know, I can call them and they'll be ready to come in. But pretty much aside from that, we're not going to do a all hands on right from the beginning. We'll just see how it goes. The Schenectady Police Department and Sheriff's Department, we all work good together. So we'll be prepared if something happens. But I don't really think it's going to turn out, you know, to be really anything.
Thank you. I just am getting some text messages from our judges that they did not receive the link to the meeting, so I'm going to send that on to them.
Okay.
While we're at that point, so Chief Wall, is there going to be any road closures that we need to expect, or that we need? I know usually we do a townwide blast if there's going to be, you know, expected traffic on the March route.
So his intention is to march up Knott Street. I know, Rosemary, you advised him that he would need a permit for Knott Street, and since he won't respond to me, I was going to advise him that as well. I'm pretty sure the county is not going to issue him a permit for Knott Street. So since he's starting out in Schenectady, I'm pretty sure he's going to get shut down in Schenectady. They're not going to let him march down Knott Street starting in Schenectady. So he's not even going to get as far as Niskayuna. So we're going to have to, you know, kind of figure out from there, because he's not going to be marching down Knott Street. That's for sure.
Does he need a permit from Michelle Martinelli for this type of event, or
Knott Street is a county road, so that's from the county.
That's what I thought. So it's not the town hold. That's all. It's just
yeah. And even if you tried to go down Graham Boulevard, that's a county road as well. So again, that would be the county.
Fran, can you check with the county to see if these even applied for a permit yet?
I will. I'll do that today. I'll reach out with that.
I'm guessing that the permit process would probably be more than just a filing an application and a signature. It's probably going to take a little while for the county to get back to him. I don't know if he could even get it in the time frame between now and the 7th.
The girls on the last one, I think they got it within like 2 days. And Rosemary, I don't know, did we expedite that one, or did we assist with expediting?
No, I had some conversations, and they knew, you know, because they were trying to follow the process, you know, I think they, you know, gave them their blessing. And again, Chief is correct. Chief has been very attentive to trying to communicate with this organizer. And, you know, so you're right. We'll do the best we can, right? We don't know. I've been at least giving the chief information in terms of what I see on social media so that she's aware and can prepare. But we've directed them to, you know, the county, right? There's not much else we can do, right, Chief? We've tried to have a conversation.
Correct. I mean, I've made numerous calls to this young man, and he's just not.
Yeah. And not all, as we know, not all protests follow all the rules.
Right. So, I mean, he in an email that he sent to school, and I mean, I think it was a bluff to try to get the school to open the campus to him. He said that he had all of us on board with him. I've been checking their social media, and I don't believe that they're involved with him at all. It's not on their event. I know people that are in contact with them, and it doesn't appear that they're involved with it at all. So I feel like it's kind of a bag of wind. So that's just my feel. So I'm not really too nervous, worked up, or anything like that as far as with this. If there's maybe like 40 some people, that I think that would be a lot. So I you know, not really concerned too much with this protest on the 7th.
And you'll be ready, as you said.
We'll be ready for sure.
Great. Just jumping back quickly to the town clerk, and then I see Justice Swinton is on. Michelle's having audio issues, but the only thing she had was for you, Alexis. Have you heard anything from the APF on that, the contract?
So Paul Briggs and I had met to discuss this. I think it's going to require a complete overhaul of our current agreement. So, Michelle, if we can wait until the term expires, or at least wait until we have more data to see whether the incidents that you brought to our attention, I think it was in May with, I think you had just 2 or 3 people come to your office with the same problem that you have. Michelle, are you able to hear me? Oh, she doesn't have audio. I think we wanted to check that it wasn't just an isolated incident of a handful of people, and that perhaps with the fact that we have everybody has their dog license because of the dog census, that it would obviate the need to amend this agreement mid-term. It's a 2-year term, because the only way we would be able to achieve the outcomes that the town clerk would like is to renegotiate the agreement. Because it would require us to pay probably a flat fee rather than pay a per dog, or that's like a kennel fee. And it would go. We looked back at agreements, I think, dating for the past 12 years, and we did see that at one point we did pay a flat rate, but that for one reason or another, we decided to go with the method we have now. I see Michelle waving to me at the bottom.
Okay, right. So just keep her appraised of what's going on with that.
So I guess, yeah, so that it's not lingering. I think that then Paul Briggs, feel free to jump on until we identify a continued issue that's more than just, I'm not minimalizing what happened, but more than just perhaps like 1 or 2 people who were affected, that it may not be in the best interest for us right now to renegotiate the entire agreement and just wait for the term to end. Michelle, I'm so sorry. This is gonna. I can see that you are trying to talk, but your audio isn't working.
Okay.
And Paul Briggs, is that an accurate summary of our conversations when we reviewed this?
Paul, you're muted.
It's not the right time. It's not the right time to try to renegotiate this. If it becomes a recurring problem, then we'll re-examine it.
So what Michelle just told me is that it's not isolated, and so we'll have to have another conversation with her. We will probably have to go through Finance and General Government Committee. I think that's probably the next place this would go, because it's going to have a monetary impact in that it will go from us having to worry about like $80 here, $90 there for cremation fees and impound fees to we're now handing over the reins to the animal shelter to collect those fees, and in return we have to pay a flat rate, which I think is a couple $1,000 a year, if I recall.
Okay, we'll have to meet with her.
Yeah, so why don't we, I think that the appropriate place to be with a meeting with Paul Briggs, Michelle and I, so we really understand the whole, the entire issue and the extent to which it's affecting more than a handful of residents, which appears that it is now, and then we would bring it to Finance and General Government Committee.
Okay, great, very good, very good.
And Michelle,
all right, Justice Swinton, I guess you're up. It's your turn now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so as of tomorrow, we are back open. Tomorrow will be our first full court session since early March. Things have changed quite a bit. I was speaking to Chief Wall about it yesterday in terms of police coverage. We obviously have to limit the number of people that we're going to have in the courtroom to between 8 and 10, and that's actually an OCA instruction. We have to reduce to 25% of previous capacity. So we've moved all of the civil matters off. We're going to be running court 2 nights a week, civil cases, summary proceedings, town ordinance violations and such will be moved on to Thursday nights. And criminal will be spaced out starting at 3:30 tomorrow. We'll have 3 separate sessions, 3:30, 5, and 6:30, with 8 to 10 defendants in each session. If we have to add an 8 o'clock, we will. And we will see how it goes. The DA has shifted the vehicle and traffic appearances to plea by mails. So we won't be having pretrial conferences and such. The only traffic matters that we'll be doing in the courtroom for the foreseeable future will be traffic trials. So it'll have some impact on our budget in terms of police overtime and such, because we're going to have obviously court 2 nights a week once it's up and running fully. But we haven't been spending anything on it since March. So hopefully this year at least we break even. And what it looks like for next year, don't quite know yet. We don't know how long it'll take to clear this backlog that we've got. We're anticipating, hundreds of vehicle and traffic and have backed up over this time, and probably 100 or so at least criminal matters. We're going to have to knock those down in addition to the stuff that got put on pause. So we'll see how it goes, but tomorrow will be our first night.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, you really don't know how long it's going to take to get through the backlog.
We don't, we had initially wanted to add a couple of criminal nights to try to knock it down. The difficulty we have there is obviously we're one of many courts in the county that, and in order to handle the criminal cases, we need the public defender's office and the DA's office. They don't have the staff to add a second night to all these local courts. So we're going to try to spread it out while we've got our Wednesday night with the DA and the public defender, get as many cases done as we can. And that's why we shifted all the civil stuff to a separate night, because we don't need the DA or the public defender for those.
Okay, thank you. And you said you met with the chief and we're set for our staffing. Is that right?
Correct. I think Chief Wall had to jump off.
I think she's still here.
Are you talking to me?
Nope, Chief Wall. We're set for the staffing from the police department for the court, correct?
We are. I posted the court detail last night, and so yeah, we're up and running for that.
Great, very good. Thank you.
The fire department.
Okay, I guess next on the agenda is fire departments. I don't see.
We got a text from Chief Lingenfelter. He was unable to attend.
Just the active shooter training.
Okay, did he have anything for the meeting?
Just one thing that I didn't touch training is that I'm in contact, as is the fire department, about along with Schenectady Police Department regarding active shooter rescue training. We're going to try to do a joint training. It's in the infancy as far as setting up the training. And let me see, with County Fire Service through the County Fire Advisory Board, which he chairs, and the County Fire EMS Coordinator. So it's a training that we're going to try to all do together, and it's in its infancy right now. We're just all trying to, you know, coordinate and set it up. So that was it. I actually just got the email yesterday about it and talked with Schenectady Police Department about it. So.
Okay, thank you. Yep, I know. You do training. It's very important, very important. School district, anything on the school district? Seeing nothing on that. All right. Do we have anything else that anyone needs to discuss? Our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, September 1st at 8 a.m. We don't have anything for this meeting. I'm going to make a motion to enter an executive session pursuant to Public Officers Law, Section 1071E. I'll need a second on that motion.
I will second.
Thank you. Well, this meeting is closed and no more public business will be discussed.
Do we want to just take about like 2 minutes until everyone is able to log off the meeting?
That would be easier. Or is there a executive session link, Alexis?
Unless Bill Lawrence is on this and can create it quickly, I don't believe there is.